Hey there, my name is Kelly Dale with Off the Beaded Path, and this is your Must Know Monday for Monday, February the 10th, 2020. Today, I'm going to show you a very simple ring to make. I've been wearing a peyote stitch ring the last couple of videos, and I've had some requests on how to make the ring. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's really simple today as far as materials. You're going to need a size 10 or 12 beading needle. You're going to need about 2 yards of your favorite beading thread. I'm going to be using 1G. You can use 6-pound Fireline, DuraThread, whatever your favorite thread is, and you're going to need some size 11 Delicas. Now I'm going to be doing what I call a bead soup ring, where it's just all leftover Delica beads that I have in a stash. So there's going to be no pattern. It's just very random. So you'll just need some Delica beads, and besides that, that's all, and we'll get started. Okay, so as I said, I'll be using 2 yards of my 1G thread today. And you can see here I have my mixture of just size 11 Delica beads. I am not going to do any sort of pattern. I'm just going to pick them up randomly so that I come up with a fun ring. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to thread on 1 bead, and I'm going to bring this bead down, and I'm going to leave about 6 inches here on the end. And I'm going to go up through this bead once more. This is going to be my stop bead because the thread that's going to be wrapped around the bead and hold it into place. But at the same time, this is going to be the first bead on my first row. So the good thing about these rings, you can make them as wide or as skinny as you want them, as long as they are in an even number of beads, because we're doing even count peyote stitch. So I have 1 bead on here, so I'm going to go ahead and put 5 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this bead will make 6. So I have 6 beads on my first row. Now we're going to build this, what they call, well, this is what they call the first and second row. Then we'll build upon this, and you'll see how we're going to do regular peyote stitch. I'm going to zoom in here real quick, so give me just a second. Okay, so you see here is my strip of 6 beads. I'm going to kind of just hold them into place. I'm going to pick up 1 bead, and I'm going to work back towards my stop bead here. So I'm picking up 1 bead. I'm going to skip 1 bead, and I'm going to go through the next bead. I'm going to hold this into place, and I'm going to pull that thread there. Now when I pull it, I want these 2 beads here on the end to sit on top of each other, and if they don't, sometimes you just kind of have to wiggle them and make them do what you want to. Okay. And I'm not worried about which bead is on top at this point because I'm not following any sort of pattern. So this is exactly what I've got right now. So I'm going to pick up 1 bead. I'm going to skip 1 bead. So I'm coming out of the orange bead. I'm going to skip the white bead, and then I'm going to go through this kind of gold bead here. I'm going to put my fingers there to hold everything in place. I'm going to pull that through so that when I pull it through, now you can see that the new bead sits on top of the old bead there. Alright, I'm going to pick up 1 bead. I'm going to skip 1 bead. So I'm coming out of a gold. I'm going to skip a gold, and I'm going to go through the purple, which is also where my stop bead is. So now that I have this, I'm going to be working back in the other direction. So I'm going to pick up a bead, and this time I'm going to go through the beads you see that are sticking up here. So I'm picking up a bead, and I'm going to go through the first bead sticking up on my row. Each row you'll pick up 3 beads basically. So I'm going to pick up a bead, and I'm going to go through the next bead sticking up on my row. And then I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to pick up a bead and I'm going to go through the last bead on my row, so that now my piece looks like this. Now I'm going to work back in the other direction, so I'm just going to hold on to my beadwork here. I'm going to pick up a bead and I'm going to go through the next bead sticking up on my row, and you'll note that that bead was actually the last bead that you picked up. Okay. Get everything held onto here. Okay, pick up a bead, go through the next bead in the row, pick up a bead, and go through the final bead of my row. Do one more row here so you can see. So I'll pick up a bead, go through the first bead of the row. Oops, sorry, there we go. Okay, and you'll see that when I let go of that bead and I didn't hold on to it, you can see how it got loosened up there. So you just kind of have to be careful and hold it and pull everything back together. It'll go back. Don't think you've done something wrong. Pick up a bead, go through the next bead in the row. And so I got to pick up one more bead for the row. And you can see that one didn't actually lay down like it's supposed to. So it looks like I pierced the thread. So I want to show you the easiest way to take care of it. Don't try to take it out. Just take your bead and go ahead and pull that thread out, so that way you've not messed up your thread and you've not got everything knotted and tangled up trying to get everything back through where it goes. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and go through my next bead there. And now, there we go, popped into place. Okay, and the last bead for the row. So now I'm just going to continue doing my regular peyote stitch until I get the length that I want. So I actually already have a piece here that I have stitched up to the length that I'm going to want. Now how you're going to test it is you're just going to put it around your finger, and you want it to be a tight fit, okay? Because no matter what thread you use, your piece is going to stretch a little bit over time. So it's better to have a tight fit than a loose fit. So what we want to do when I finish that last row, I want to be able to put my pieces together and have them zip up like a zipper. So you can see on this end here, I have a bead at the top and not a bead here in the lower corner. And then here I don't have a bead in the upper corner, but I have one at the bottom. So you can see how they will just fit together really, really well there. So for this specific one, my thread is coming out of this bottom right hand bead. I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to come up through the adjacent bead here on the left, which is going to be this bead. Okay, now for purposes so that you can see, I'm not going to pull this tight yet. Okay, then I'm going to come back over here on the right, and I'm going to go through the next bead sticking up on that right hand side. So it's going to be that bead. And again, I'm not going to pull this tight because I want you to be able to see it. Okay, so then I'm going to come over to the left, and I'm going to go through the bead sticking up here on the left. We're doing what's called a zip up. Okay, then I'm going to come back over to the right, and I'm going to go through the next bead sticking up on the right hand side. Then I'm going to come to the left. I'm going to go through the last bead sticking up on the left there. And now I'm going to go through the last bead sticking up on the right. So when I pull that tight, you can see it pulled my beads together so that unless you were just to look at these two threads, you could not tell where I started and where I stopped on this piece. Now, one thing that we need to do is you just need to grab a hold of that little thread wrapped around your stop bead, and you need to pull that thread out. So I'm just going to kind of hold it to the side for now. My working thread is coming out of this bead here on the right. I'm going to take my needle down through the stop bead that's on the left, because this is the only connections that we have left to make. Then I'm going to come back up through that last bead on the right. So now every bead in that row is connected, and I have one continuous span of beads. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm just going to stitch down through the beads to reinforce my connection between where I did the zip up. And it's kind of one of those things, it doesn't matter which way you go through the beads as long as you do not see the thread. And I will go through this connection a couple of times just to make sure that it's not going to pull apart on me. Okay, and then I will just start stitching through beads to get rid of this specific thread. So I might go down through a couple of beads here, then I might come up through the bead right next to where I'm coming out, and then down through a couple of beads. Basically, I'm just trying to lock this thread in place. Now I want to get to the bottom here because I want to show you that if you are just very cautious and you want to put a knot into your piece, I'll show you where to do that. Okay, so I stitched down through the beads and I have come out down here at the bottom, and you can see that my thread is coming out of this kind of peachy bead here. Now I'm going to go under the thread. I can either go under the thread above it or the thread below it here. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to take my needle and I'll go under that thread. I'll pull through and leave myself a little loop. Go through the loop again and pull the thread. So that is how you can add your little half hitch knots in here if you want to put knots in it. Like I said, I personally do not put knots in my piece. I just basically take and I stitch through until I have gotten rid of this thread, and then I'm going to do the same thing to get rid of this thread so that I will have a bead soup ring. Now you can see, depending on your bead soup, this one had a lot of dark colors in it, and this bead soup had a lot of light colors in it. So every ring you're going to make is going to look different because of your different soups that you may have or make. So I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to make this super easy bead soup peyote stitch ring. We do have kits available for this project, as well as little packets of bead soup, and you can find all of those at offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Bye bye.